Hey, Sharice Mwangi here with a word of encouragement for you today, but also to a word of correction. Okay, are you saved? Do you love Jesus? If so, I want you to hear this well. I am only talking to those who identify in this way. If you identify with a horoscope sign, I come to challenge you to look into that and see that it is not of God. But not only is it not of God, I want you to get something. I'm going to give you something that happened to me. So one day, I was writing and I have a blog. And as I'm blogging, the Lord tells me to go to the beach that day to get the word of the day. So I put my GPS on and I use Waze. Now, if you're in the States, you know what Waze is. If you're over here, you may not. It's just a GPS system. Waze gives me the directions. I'm following the directions to the letter. But then, when I get to the destination, it is somebody's house. It is not the beach, and the beach is nowhere to be seen. And then I stopped, and I was frustrated because I drove for about 45 minutes, only for me not to be where God told me to go. Now, in that very moment, as I'm sitting on the side of the road, not knowing exactly where I was at, but knowing that it definitely was not the beach where I was supposed to be getting the word, the Lord said to me, He said, "Now this is your word." And I said, "Huh?" He said, "Look at your GPS." He said, "It's trusted. It's a known way for you to get from point A to point B." He said, "I am the GPS for your life." But many people are reading horoscopes, doing tarot cards, seeking mediums and psychics and all these people to get answers about life that they have no real answer for. The same way that Waze is known, I had never had a problem with Waze and always got me to my destination. That particular day, not only did I not get to my destination, but I was lost. Now catch that if you want to. God is calling us to come out of these worldly things. But then today, I was actually having another word, and I'm going to get back to that word in a second. I'll get that in another TikTok, but I want to tell you something. I began to read about Daniel. I'm reading in Daniel 3, and the Lord took me to something. And as I was reading down, after Nebuchadnezzar had put up his little self-image and wanted everybody to bow down and worship him, he called all these people. He called the magistrates and all the officials, and they all came. And then after that was done, they talk about when all the sounds go off, how you're supposed to bow down and worship. But then, after that had happened and the people bowed down and worshiped, it was the astrologers, the ones behind horoscopes, who came and snitched on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay? Now listen, astrology is a form of witchcraft. You can say that it is not, but I can tell you what. If you are not identifying as with Christ, if you are identifying as a Scorpio, if you're identifying as a Gemini, you identifying with a personality, also a demon. Now you heard what I said. You don't have to like it, but you go and look into it. See, characteristics from people also come from a familiar spirit. If you, for instance, I used to identify as a Scorpio. Scorpios were known for certain types of things. It is a behavior that I wanted to identify. Therefore, what you say in your heart comes out of your mouth. Now, that's biblical. What a man thinks about themselves in their heart is going to come out of their mouth, but their behaviors and their actions are going to come forward and be aligned with their thinking. So when you are identifying as any of those signs, listen, there's a lot of demonic activity behind the signs, and I can tell you this: if you identify, then you're going to start to identify, but also too, your actions are going to align with what you're identifying for. So I'm going to tell you right now, God is calling you to identify with Him and Him alone. So when somebody asks you, what's your sign? The cross. What do you identify? A child of God. I know people have seen it, but the fact of the matter is that people are not willing to tell you to go and research where this stuff comes from. But the astrology was in the Bible back in Daniel, and they were snitches. They wanted people to bow down to another God, not the God of heaven and earth, not the God of Jacob, Isaac, Abraham, Not that God. They wanted them to bow down to Nebuchadnezzar. Now, y'all all know the story about Nebuchadnezzar, and if you don't, just for the record, because he decided he wanted to exalt himself like he was God, he was out in the wilderness for 7 years eating grass and acting like a donkey. All I'm telling you is that you have to be so careful what the world is trying to teach you, because it is not good. It is not aligned biblically. But I challenge you to go back and read Daniel 3. But also, too, go even further. Go and look about those signs. Look and see where they're aligned with all these different things that have nothing to do with the Bible. So I'm going to tell you right now, as a child of God, make sure that you are aligning yourself with what the Word of God says. And what the Word of God says is, come out from amongst them and be ye separate, because you have been bought with a price. Be encouraged. God bless you. Have a great day.